All right, Landon, hit the disclaimer.
That's always a question that, and it also from a differential perspective, sleep apnea mimics the same symptoms of hypogonadism and stuff, and so it's always on the differential, so I always ask about it.
Yeah.
Additionally, testosterone causes secondary erythrocytosis that can be exacerbated by sleep apnea because they're suffocating a third of their life.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that's something I just kind of want to throw in there. But moving on, I do want to kind of go back to resistance training.
Okay.
Has that always been a part of your regimen? And if it has it changed as you've kind of gotten older? And have you had to change anything with it in regards to your cycling? Because cycling has been your first and foremost, but just kind of resistance training throughout the years and how you'd approached it.
Yeah, I think I was 11 when I got these concrete plates with plastic around them, and these hollow aluminum bars, and so I've dabbled in it my entire life. I've come and gone from it quite a bit. Probably 10 years ago, maybe now. I was just cycling all the time, and I was like, I really need to get back to this. And my son Will really encouraged me. We started getting into some yoga and flexibility and weight training. And, then I started reading about it because that's me. I'm the scientist. So I started reading about it. I was like, Jesus, this is just so important. Muscle, strength, mobility, flexibility, all this stuff I'm glad I'm getting back into this. So it's been about 10 years now that I've really been on it. And I've done different things. I've done heavy barbell training. I've hurt myself. In 25 years, I've herniated 3 discs in my back. I probably should have herniated 1 or 0. So you have to be careful with strength. And, right now I'm just cycling so much that my strength is really more cycling specific.
Okay.
A lot more movement. And I use some things called Vipers, which are loaded tubes, if you will. So there's just lots of ways. It was in your YouTube with Brandon from the ground. Fantastic. He covered all the bases of the importance of it, and he touched on a lot of different techniques and all. So there's many ways to skin the cat. The main thing is just doing it.
Mm-hmm. So one thing, the next, I think, most important thing is overall nutrition. We haven't even hardly touched on it yet. And that is, I have a good portion of my clinic that's specifically weight loss. And weight loss is a little different than fueling for specific stuff, but also not really at the same time. So what is your approach to nutrition? How do you do it for kind of being active every day and recovering with it? Do you follow anything specific, or what is your just kind of philosophy on nutrition as a lifelong athlete?
I think seasonality is good. I was vegetarian for 4 or 5 years. Then probably about when I got back into the weight training, I started just reading more about protein and muscle, and I started, I probably need animal protein. So, I think there are no bad diets if you will just eat whole foods and avoid sugar. And anything in the supermarket that has a food label on it, I'd consider that a warning label.
Nice, I like that. Yeah.
But I just think whole foods and just eating enough, but weighing yourself every day so you can be honest with the energy going in, the energy going out. Backing up just a little bit, you kind of talked about the benefits of exercise and how exercise is a super drug and would put all the other drugs out of business if we just all did it. Nutrition, diet, food, if you want to think about it for affecting you, think about it more for your weight, and then exercise for everything else. And so, you just want to get your macros and start with protein and know how many calories you should have a day, roughly. Weigh yourself each day. Put protein first, so the average person should probably just get a gram of protein per pound.
Mm-hmm.
So if you weigh 200 pounds, 200 grams of protein. And so that's really, if you could figure that out in your food, don't worry about the fats and the carbs.
Yep.
As long as you're staying away from the sugars, just don't worry about the fats and the carbs. It'll come to you. If you want kind of a, how do I minimize my sugar spiking and things like that, just think about at your meal, eat your fiber first, then your protein, then your fats, then your carbs. So if you'll eat the fibers and the proteins first, it kind of slows down the digestion and makes you a little fuller, so maybe you're not going to eat as many carbs and things like that. So and I don't want to get too deep in this, but just keep it very basic.
So that's my approach even with weight loss as well, is get your protein. Protein's going to work, everything we need in a weight loss journey. It's going to keep you more full. Mm-hmm. It's going to take longer to digest, so you stay full longer. It's going to help maintain your muscle mass in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
And then I, try and figure out their total daily energy expenditure, and then put them in somewhat of a calorie deficit.
Mm-hmm.
We can use meds for that as well, but that's about all I do is protein and calories. I get them to try and do some carbs pre and post workout to fuel yourself.
No, that's a different topic.
Right.
Yeah.
If they do have a pretty rigorous exercise regimen, that's what we're working on. And then fats, I just tell them wherever they fall. You can. I'm kind of under the impression too. I do like whole food choices first, but I'm also under the the mindset that there's really no bad food as long as it's within moderation, except for stuff that's gone rancid, obviously poisons. But the bad foods are easier to overeat and harder to do in moderation. So that's where, I'm kind of talking with yes, if, these 2 cookies or ice cream are your crutch, you can utilize them. Just make sure they stay in your calorie goal and everything. Maybe try and do them around exercise. But also you have to stop yourself. And this is me talking to me as well, because I do struggle with that. I can't hardly let myself have 200 calories of ice cream because I can't just buy ice cream because I know it's in the freezer. I'll think about it until it's gone. I'll 100%. Eat it. And so I know that about myself.
Most of us are that way. And so this is an important discussion.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how, it's like, if you can control yourself, you can have whatever you want. Typically, whole foods are going to make you feel more satiated, more full, and you're going to feel better from the micronutrient density and everything as well. But it's just trying to find that balance. And again, like the exercise, the best exercise to do is the one that you will do. The best diet to follow is the one that you will follow.
Right.
I think the protein, first and foremost, and then stick to the whole food stuff, fish, chicken, fruits, vegetables, honey, just one ingredient stuff is hard to overeat along that. If you're prioritizing protein, they typically more fiber, more protein and everything. So that's how I try and get people to think about their intake as well. It is just hard. The environment sets everybody up for failure. I mean, I think, I don't know if you were the one that told me this or not, but if, a professor gives a class and 70% fail it, that's a bad test. 70% of America is failing from our obesity epidemic. It's a bad environment, and it's good. It's a product of success, but I can drive down Bryant and have 10,000 food combinations that kings 200 years ago didn't have.
Right.
And then just another quick example is I gave a speech one time at an event, and it was over weight loss and health, and they catered it with pizza. They didn't know everything, but it just works from an environment. Pizza is affordable. Almost everybody likes it. You can do it. So it's just the environment sets a lot of people up for failure. And then we're also social with eating and everything as well. You get to, weddings, funerals, parties, you get together, you have a big meal, and that's whenever you lax. And so overall, it's just hard from an environment standpoint without being super focused and stuff. Do you have any tips on just trying to stay consistent and not falling? We can find something to celebrate every day.
So a couple things. First, I'll push back on there are no bad foods.
Okay.
Sugar is a bad food. Sugar is a poison. The definition of a poison is something that you consume that you do not need that causes harm.
Okay.
Okay. We need carbohydrates,
Okay.
which is what sugar is broken down to in our body. We need some carbohydrates. You know, people can go on very, very little carbohydrates on a keto diet and stuff like that. But yeah, so any of your gummy bears, any of your pure sugar foods you don't need those, even in moderation. And the problem is sugar is added to everything. Sugar is added to bread. Sugar is added to this. It's added to that just to make us eat more. So what we'll buy more. I mean, I'm not being cynical or conspiracy theory. It just is what it is.
The environment,
Yeah. And so that gets to your environment, right? And so, I mean, in the movie War Games, you learn that, most games are, the only way to win is to not play. Well, this food game we have to play, that we don't have a choice. So we have to understand the game and understand that it's tilted against us and decide how we're going to deal with it, I can't have cookies in the house because I will eat them. I can't have ice cream in the house because I will eat it. So that's kind of the first step right there. And then just to understand the fact that what we are eating is not natural food. The chicken we are eating doesn't taste like this out in nature. It's been engineered to taste much better. So everything that we eat, even our whole foods, taste 10 times better because they've been selected so they taste well. It's not like they're planted with drugs to make us eat more. It's just that it's all been, this is what people will buy, the better tasting stuff. So it's been made, so just knowing the game that the foods have been made to be better and that sugar's put in a lot of stuff, and then decide what you're going to do with it from there. So that's my take, is just know the game is stacked against us to is stacked against us to succeed. And that's why you say 70%, maybe even 95% of people in America are felt to be metabolically unhealthy at this time. So, know the game and decide what you're going to do with it.
And kind of even on that too, I just want to touch on something. I would say, I don't remember when this was. I'd say late 90s, early 2000s. Fat was demonized, and it's still a controversial thing today. I've done tons of research, and trying to, my practice has kind of turned into a longevity practice. I'm not, I think hormones are a key to that. But one of the big things that come out is, do I need to manage cholesterol? And so, and it's like right now we have statins, which are very effective at managing cholesterol numbers and everything. And there's two, cardiologist thinks babies are statin deficient. And then there's kind of holistic functional providers who think statins are the devil. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't think fats are terrible, but I do think lifetime exposure to apolipoprotein B particles do correlate with increased risks of strokes, heart attacks, plaque deposition, etc.